So Sufism teaches the relation between the spirituality and the music. What do you have to say on this relation, sir?
Music is extremely important in Sufism, and you might even say that music is extremely important in any mystical tradition. Like in the Bhakti tradition among Hindu communities, you find kirtans, you find bhajans, different kinds of songs. Also in the Sufi tradition, you find a kind of sacred music, or music used as a means of meditation, and it's extremely important. In human culture, all the way back to Pythagoras, who was a Greek philosopher, he understood that music was the best way to understand God, because it gets away from language. Music is, it's like a language without words. It's a language of sound. And because of that, it's universal. And if you're thinking in your own thoughts, in your own head, you're trapped in your ego. And you can't get away from it. Even if you say, I have no ego, you're still using language that reinforces your ego. But if you begin to sing or to play an instrument, you can express yourself in a language that doesn't involve your ego. And so Sufis from an early period observed this, and they began to cultivate music as a means of meditation and drawing close to God, or freeing the soul from the confines of the ego. And so you find in Baghdad, about in the 9th century, the first discussion among Sufis of using music as a means of meditation. And it's called sama. Sama is an Arabic word, which is also a Persian word, it's a Turkish word, it's an Urdu word, it's a Hindi word. Sama means listening. But not listening to any old music. If you go to a pub or a club, or you're listening to the radio or Hindi film songs, it's not that listening. It's listening to music which is specifically designed as a spiritual ritual. And for Sufis in India, especially in the Chishti order, which is the most populous and influential order here in India, listening to music in the form of sama is a very important ritual. They call it the prayer of lovers, namaz-e-ashiqeen. So it's like namaz, like ritual prayer where you bow down and pray and worship God, but it's through listening to music. And qawwali is a kind of music, Sufi music developed here in India, taking ragas and the tal of classical Indian music, but adapting it to a Sufi message. So qawwali has become very, very popular in North India, parts of South India. In Hyderabad, for instance, qawwali is very, very popular. Further south, let's say in Kerala or Tamil Nadu, then qawwali is not so important. But wherever you go in the Muslim world, you find Sufi music traditions. In North Africa, in Morocco, in Turkey, in Central Asia, you have different musical traditions that Sufis have taken and adapted to this type of meditative listening.
You talked about some misunderstanding of the disciples of some Sufi sheikhs. So, do you think there is a diversion from the sacrificing nature of the Sufi sheikhs in the modern age?
In the modern age, it's easier to judge people because we can see them face to face. We live in the same world that they do. So great Sufi sheikhs of the past, many people revere them because they lived far away in time and in a remote place. So it's easy to idealize them. But when you see modern people and what they're doing, it's easier to be critical. This is true in any religion. The people from the past were wonderful, the people in the present are terrible. You know how it is. But that said, I think any religious tradition can be manipulated. And there are many examples of this, where people take a religious ideal or a religious practice and they do it for some personal gain, to get a leadership position or to make other people obey them or to get money. It's not just Sufism that has a problem with this. Any religious tradition, especially a mystical tradition, creates enormous power for somebody. And there are some people who may abuse that power in order to get some worldly gain. But that doesn't mean that the tradition is wrong. It just means that person is wrong. So the essential point of Sufism is to live as simply as possible. That is, to not go after money and fame, to be content with what you have, to love others and serve others as best you can, and to find God everywhere, in every situation. That's essential Sufism. Now, if somebody uses those ideas to make money or to find followers or to build a fan club, that's their problem. But the mystical tradition remains what it is, a set of resources for anybody who wants to come and investigate it, and it will probably change your life for the better, rather than for the worse.
So in personal, what are your experiences, at least one of your experiences, which is really memorable during your research on Sufism?
Well, I'll tell you, before I ever did any research on Sufism, I had a radio station. I worked in a radio station. I had a program when I was a university student. So in a studio similar to this, I used to play music and make comments on it on the radio. And one day I saw a new LP record, back in the days when they had big old black LP records. And this was a Qawwali record from Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, who's a very famous Qawwali singer from Punjab in Pakistan. And I had never seen what this music was. I didn't know who he was. But somehow I picked up that record and I put it on and started to listen to it. And I remember to this day the song that it was. It was a song called Allah Muhammad Charyar Haji Khaja Qutb Farid, which is God, the Prophet, and the four friends, Haji Khaja Qutb Farid. And those are the names of the four great teachers in the Chishti Sufi order that brought this Sufism to India. And that song, I listened to it over and over and over again, and was very affected by the music, without understanding the words at all. I knew what Allah Muhammad meant, but beyond that, everything was in Persian and Punjabi. So, even without understanding the words, something about the music stirred something in my soul, and I thought, I need to listen to this more, and I need to study those languages and understand what is that message. So that is really what inspired me to start studying Sufism, and I went on and got a master's degree and then a PhD, and now I'm writing books and I get invited to conferences like here at University of Pondicherry, and it's a great honor for me to be able to come. But it's all because of listening to a song that I didn't understand. That's the power of Sufi music, if you've ever listened to it yourself.
So can I say Scott is a Sufi?
No. No, that would be saying too much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak and share with you all. It's been a great honor to be invited to University of Pondicherry.